More than half of people collecting Social Security say rising costs have already forced them to cut discretionary spending. Nearly a third have even cut back on essentials like groceries and medicine. And if you're on a fixed income, you already know this math. So keep count, because these are 9 things older Americans are cutting first. And by number 1, you'll know how many have already disappeared from your own life. Number 9, restaurant meals. Picture a Friday night maybe 10 years ago. Nothing fancy. The diner or the pizza place or lunch with a friend after a doctor's appointment. It wasn't a treat, it was just part of the week. Nobody thought about it. Now here's the number. AARP found that 44% of adults 50 and older, nearly half, say they're cutting back on eating out altogether much more often. For a lot of people, that doesn't mean switching restaurants. It means going less often, sometimes a lot less often. And the way it happens is quiet. Dinner out becomes once a month. Then it becomes birthdays only. Then somebody looks up and realizes they haven't sat in a restaurant since spring. The meal is easy to give up. What goes with it isn't. Because for a lot of older Americans, that booth at the diner was where the visiting happened. You didn't lose a cheeseburger. You lost a standing appointment with people you like. It's an easy place to start because it feels optional. Remember that word, easiest. This list does not stay easy. Now, before we get to number 8, I want to show you the math sitting underneath this whole video because it explains everything that follows. The 2026 Social Security raise was 2.8%. For the average retired worker, that works out to about $56 a month. Sounds okay. But the standard Medicare Part B premium went up almost $18 at the same time, and that comes straight out of the check before you ever see it. So for the average retired worker paying that standard premium, what's actually left of the raise is roughly $38 a month. $38. To cover a year of higher groceries, higher insurance, higher utilities, higher everything. It can't. So something has to come off the list, and this video is that list. Number 8, new clothes. 3 in 10. That's the figure from the University of Michigan's National Poll on Healthy Aging. 30% of adults 50 and older have cut back on personal items. Clothing, toiletries, the small stuff. And this one doesn't look like anything from the outside. Nobody announces it. The winter coat just goes another year. The shoes get worn until they actually fail. The dresser drawer stops turning over. You replace things when they break, not when they're tired. I'll be honest, of everything on this list, this is the one I almost didn't notice in the research because it hides so well. A person can go 3-4 years without buying clothes and nobody around them can tell. That's the whole point. They're counting on nobody being able to tell. Number 7, entertainment. Here's what gets me about this one. The entire promise of retirement, the thing people worked 4 decades toward, was time. Time to finally see the shows, take the class, join the club, go to the Friday concert in the park that charges $10 at the door. 38% of adults 50 and older have cut back on social and recreational activities. Almost 4 in 10. The movies go first, then the paid hobbies, then the group things, the bowling league, the card night at the senior center that has a fee attached, the trip the church group organizes. And here's what I think this actually means, because I don't think this is an entertainment story at all. When you cut a restaurant meal, you eat at home. Fine. But when you cut the activity, you don't do it at home. It's just gone. The calendar empties out. Retirement was supposed to be the season of life where your time finally belonged to you. And for almost 4 in 10 older adults, the price of admission got too high. Number 6, the brands. There's a coffee can that's been in the same spot in the pantry for 20 years. Same label, same red or blue tin. Buying it was never a decision. It was just what the house drank. And then, one week, the hand reaches for it, checks the price, and comes back with the store brand instead. More than a quarter of adults 50 and older, 28%, are cutting back on groceries. And the research shows how they're doing it. Trading down. Store brand cereal, cheaper cuts of meat, or less meat. Shopping the weekly ad instead of shopping the list. Coupons coming back out after 30 years. Nobody's plate is empty here. I want to be careful about that, because this isn't a starvation story, and I'm not going to pretend it is. This is something different. It's a generation with decades of brand loyalty. People who bought the same brands their entire adult lives, now letting arithmetic pick the groceries instead of preference. 50 years of "this is what we buy" ending in one aisle, 1 week, without a word. If you've made that switch yourself, by the way, that's one for your count. Some of you might be at 3 or 4 already. Number 5. The house. Let me ask you something. What's the repair at your place that you already know about? The one you've decided can wait until spring? 27% of adults 50 and older have cut back on home maintenance. Over 1 in 4. And this is where the list changes character, because a skipped dinner is gone and done. A skipped repair is still there, waiting. Think about how this plays out, and I'm speaking in general terms here, not about any one household. The water heater starts sounding wrong, and the plan becomes, we'll deal with it when it dies. The roof needs looking at, and looking at it becomes next year's problem. The furnace gets one more winter, then one more. The cruel part is the math. Deferred maintenance isn't a cut, it's a loan, taken out against the house at terrible terms. A small repair that gets postponed can become a much larger repair later. People know this. They're not confused. They know postponing it can cost more later. They're just trying to make a fixed budget stretch today. Number 4. The dentist. This is where I have to stop and say something, because the list just crossed a line. Everything up to now was about what someone can live without. From here down, it's about what cares someone can put off. Those are not the same question. Nearly a quarter of adults 65 and older, 23%, put off dental care in the past year because of the cost. And the reason is a gap most people don't discover until they age into it. Traditional Medicare, for the most part, simply does not cover routine dental work. The cleaning, the filling, the crown, that's largely out of pocket. So the cleaning gets pushed. The crown gets scheduled for when things settle down. The tooth that twinges gets tolerated, month after month, because tolerating it is free. Now, some of you are thinking, I have a Medicare Advantage plan. Mine covers dental, and some do. But coverage varies wildly from plan to plan, and most of them cap what they'll pay each year. So when the big bill comes, the crown, the extraction, and especially an implant, a lot of that cost still lands on you. I had to sit with this one for a while, because a postponed dinner is a choice. A postponed crown is a countdown. Number 3. Glasses. 15% of adults 65 and older delayed vision care or new eyeglasses because of cost. On paper, that sounds smaller than the others. It isn't, because this one is about independence. An old prescription doesn't announce itself. It shows up as the newspaper drifting a little further from the face, the pill bottle getting squinted at, and then the big one, night driving. The person who quietly stops driving after dark, not because a doctor said to, but because the glasses are 5 years old and the headlights have started to smear. Nobody calls that a spending cut, but that's what it is. A pair of glasses got postponed, and a person's world got smaller after sunset. That's it. That's the whole entry. Some things don't need dressing up. Number 2. Hearing. 13% of adults 65 and older have put off hearing aids or hearing care because of the cost. And again, Medicare, for the most part, doesn't cover it. Hearing aids can run into the thousands out of pocket. For someone living on a fixed income, a bill like that can be almost impossible to absorb. But here's why I put this so high on the list, and it's not the money. Number 3 was about independence. This one is about connection. Because the person who's putting off the hearing aid is still at the table, still at Sunday dinner, still at the grandkids' birthday party, physically present for all of it, and catching maybe 2/3 of the conversation, smiling at jokes they didn't hear, nodding along, slowly becoming a spectator at their own family gatherings. Nobody stopped inviting them anywhere. The price tag just turned down the volume on their life, and most of the family never even knows it happened. And number 1, the medicine. 1 in 5 adults 65 and older report difficulty affording their prescription drugs. 20%. At the pharmacy counter, that difficulty can mean asking whether there's a generic, checking whether the price changed, calling the doctor to ask if there's a cheaper option, or simply staring at a copay that suddenly takes a much bigger bite out of the monthly check. Now stop and look at where we've been. This list started with a restaurant meal, a Friday pizza, the easiest thing in the world to give up. Then clothes, then the fun, then the brands, then the house, then the teeth, the eyes, the ears. And it ends here, at the counter, with medicine. Here's what I think this list actually is. It's not 9 separate cutbacks. It's one long negotiation. And every round, the thing on the table matters more. People on fixed incomes are not spending foolishly, and they are not falling apart. The logic is rational. You cut the least important thing you can, then the next thing. And every round, what's left matters more. The frightening part is simply how far down the list the last few years have pushed them. When the negotiation reaches the pharmacy, there's nothing casual left to offer. So that's the 9. But I can't end there, because there's one more category. And it's the one that, honestly, tells you more about these people than everything else combined. It's the one thing many of them won't cut. AARP's research found that 90% of grandparents provide financial support to their grandchildren. 9 out of 10. On average, about $2,600 a year. Add it all up across the country, and grandparents are providing roughly $172 billion a year in direct support to their grandkids. Sit with that next to everything you just heard. Older Americans are trading down their coffee, wearing their shoes an extra year, stretching an old pair of glasses, and worrying over pharmacy copays. And yet grandparents as a group are still finding money for the grandkids. School clothes, sports fees, help when the young family comes up short. And that's the remarkable part. Even while older Americans are cutting back across their own lives, family support remains remarkably protected. For many grandparents, helping the kids and grandkids is one of the last things they want to cut. And I refuse to call that irresponsible, because it isn't. It's the oldest financial strategy in the world. Protect the future first. These are people absorbing the shocks of this economy so the generations under them don't have to feel the full weight of it. Quietly, without press coverage, without complaint mostly. So here's where I'll leave it. All through this video, I asked you to keep count. And I think that count, your number, might be the most honest economic statistic in this whole story. Not the COLA, not the inflation rate. Your number. 1, 3, 6? Because every one of them is something retirement used to include that now has to compete with the groceries, the light bill, and the medicine. So tell me, how many were on your list? And which one did you give up first? Drop it in the comments below. I really enjoy reading your comments, and your stories often show what the surveys miss. And if this channel is putting words to things you've been living, make sure you're subscribed. Just hit subscribe right under this video. One tap and you're done. This is EconoNova. Keep an eye on the price of milk.